I'm going to ask like 2-second questions.
Good morning, team. How are you? Happy Thursday to everybody this morning.
We are
Happy
into
Thursday.
our winter rainy season. I do not appreciate it.
You're not a rain girl.
Nope.
You live in what the Pacific Northwest. It's kind of rainy up there. Isn't that just sort of the thing?
Yeah, I mean, Pacific Northwest, the home of rain and vegans. Yeah.
We still haven't had a snow out here in Colorado yet, so
no,
it's
we haven't
a little weird.
It's a little bit weird, particularly because last year this time we'd had a bunch of snow, and yeah,
we had
supposed to be a stormy winter, and it just hasn't been.
We had one day of snow last year. That's it.
I want you guys. You guys know I'm kind of into like philosophy and poetry and stuff. I just have this one. It's kind of a haiku, but I want you guys just to ponder it. No matter how many socks you put on a bear, they're still going to have bare feet.
I don't think that's a haiku.
It's not a haiku. It's not the right format for a haiku.
Yeah, it's not a haiku.
It was something I wanted you to ponder. It's not really a haiku. It's not really.
Is Denver
I was more focused on the tone than the joke. Sorry, because I was expecting a haiku.
You were counting syllables.
Is Denver crunchy like here? Like, do you guys have a lot of vegans?
No, they've all turned homeless. So
in Boulder, there's a lot of vegans.
Boulder?
Yeah.
If two vegans are fighting, is it still called a beef? Chris?
Oh, that's pretty good. All right, we got a good topic. What do you tell the team when you're closing your beloved business? The data shows something counterintuitive. According to CB Insights 2023 Startup Failure Analysis, founders spend an average of 14 months operating, knowing their business is failing. I don't know if that's entirely true. Mr. Anthony Franco, our beloved co-host, went through something similar. However, his moment of realization came incredibly quickly. However, failing and closing a business costs time, it costs money, it's painful, it costs relationships, and a ton of energy. Today on How to Founder, it is sunny, it is beautiful outside, and we're talking about shutting down your business. I am your host, Mr. Chris Franks. With me, our team, Mr. Anthony Franco, Stephanie Hayes. How are you? This is a big topic. I'm happy we're having it. And Anthony, we've been kind of pushing you for a while to tell this story, so I'm glad. And we just learned, Stephanie, you're shutting down a business this morning as well. So let's just check in emotionally. You just turned your lights off. Are you trying to make sure it's
there? We go. The sun just went down, so I had to turn my lights back on. Yeah.
All right. How are we doing emotionally? Let's just do a little check-in before we start this episode.
We're going to talk about Anthony's feeling.
His one feeling. That's exactly right.
Mm-hmm.
I think that in starting this conversation, it's important. I want to talk about those decision points. I want to talk about the mechanics. But before I do, I want to talk about how difficult this is for us as founders. We're wildly optimistic people by nature. Give us a very difficult problem and we think we can solve it. Before we even talk about the decision of why you choose to shut this down, talk about, Anthony, like the moment and how it feels. How does it feel to come to that realization that this thing that you put so much bloody work into, it's not going to continue. You need to kill this thing.
Well, it came too late. So, Chris, we've talked about, and Steph, we've talked about this too before. It's like, how do you know when it's time And I don't, that's such a personal, you can't tell somebody, I guess. So there's a circumstance where it's not your decision, right? You just run out of money.
Right. I think there's two sides of this.
So for me, it wasn't a decision to, it was presented to me as the only option. And even then, even when it like the writing was on the wall, you have options as a business. We had to file bankruptcy, and you have two different types of bankruptcy. There's one bankruptcy that says, hey, we need to restructure and give us time to pay our bills. And then the other one's like, we're done. And even when filing bankruptcy, I was like, okay, we need to restructure. I think I can still pull this out. And so I have this like never quit mentality on anything. I just don't quit. Which made the realization that it wasn't going to happen and it wasn't going to live really, really difficult, like emotionally, physically, mentally. It was very difficult. Steph, are you experiencing the same thing with yours?
I want to, if you would, like, I'm just going to rephrase for Stephanie because I know just a little bit about it. So there's these two types of the ways that we shut down businesses. And one, it becomes very obvious. You cannot continue to operate. And it is, there's not enough money. You can't do it. No more lines of credit, no more anything, right? But then there's a second type of business, Stephanie, and this is the one you're just describing, known as the zombie company. And the zombie company is a terrible, terrible problem for a founder, right? Because it's not alive, but it's not dead. And you have to make the decision to kill it, right? And that's a very, very hard decision. Talk about that, because I think that's exactly what you're going through right now.
Yeah, we're committing business homicide for sure. We have a product.
Be careful, Stephanie. You're in Canada. You're going to have the Mounties coming and kicking down your door here. Be careful.
No, they're too polite. They'll be like, "Hi, is it okay if we come in?"
So please don't.
Yeah, so yeah, it is a challenge because we've built a product, and the product's actually really good, and the product has been in place in our customers' sites for 14 years, and they love it, and it's stable and it's great. But it does require some care and feeding, and I would say that there's nothing wrong with the product, and we were at an inflection point a little while ago where we could have looked for some money and
why don't you sell
inject it into.
Sorry, Steph. Sorry,
why didn't you do better?
Yeah.
We could have looked for some money and injected it into the business, and there were some decisions made that wasn't what we were going to do, and there's 3 people who have to make that decision, and so it just sort of sat, like, it's just kind of been here, and so I'm in this position where I see the potential, and I've always seen the potential for it, and I know that I could grow it into new markets, et cetera, but I would need a capital investment, and I would need new people who could support it in order to do that. And I think that option would still be on the table, but I sort of feel like the energy has been let out of the room, right? And, do we continue? Our biggest concern right now is what happens with our existing customers, because this is a pretty fundamental piece of their business, their operations, and it's quite a big purchase for them, and it took a long time to sort of get them where they are right now. Now, the customers who are stable, we never hear from them. Like, they just kind of go, and it's a great little, moneymaker. But my partners have other interests, and they're both sort of in retirement age and have other things going on, and that was the decision that all 3 of us had to make together. So yeah, it's a latent zombie, I guess.
I am serious about my question though, Steph. Like, throw it up on Biz Buy Sell and see if somebody would buy it from you, even if it's just with an earnout.
Yeah. So we've been in that process right now. So okay. we've told our customers that they've got 2 years of support, and in these 2 years, we've been trying to get a technology assessment, and then we had a guy do it, and he totally screwed it up. And so, like, it just feels like the universe is saying, you know what, just let it go. So there are options as well for us to, because we sell in the K-12 education market, and so there are options for us to somehow do a deal with the province as well. So there are options on the table, and we would prefer to have somebody take it over and buy it. But right now, we've had to issue our notice so that we, you know, it's a year-long cycle that the process that this supports. And so we had to be cognizant of what our customers need, and the notice was important, because pulling the plug on them a year before would have been too much. So they're all aware, and they know that we're going to be looking for options, that there's a possibility that it continues, but that they need to be prepared for that.
I want to get back to this because I think it's a really important point. It's about this idea of us, our time and energy as founders in that decision point. But I want to give it back to you, Anthony, and I want you to tell the story of MC Squares. And it's hard and it's painful. Still, it hurts me when you tell the story. You don't have to go into all the detail, but backstory, you had developed and built a really cool company. This was the one you were on Shark Tank for. You had, basically lots of products, but the reusable sticky note was kind of the key product, along with a bunch of other cool stuff. And your primary distributor was Amazon. Is that a pretty good setup to get you to a point?
Yeah. So I'll try to be I try not to monologue here, Chris, as we've been told we do.
Thank you.
Yeah. But to kind of give you the backstory. So, started the business in 2012, 2013, prototyped for a couple of years, launched our first product on Amazon. It kind of took off, saw sales grow. I tried out for Shark Tank, got on Shark Tank, got a deal, closed the deal with Kevin O'Leary. And then in, it was 2022. We were growing on Amazon, and starting to talk to retailers, starting to talk to Walmart, Target. And I should say that I made the decision to bring manufacturing in-house. So I was growing a factory and capabilities in order to do bespoke manufacturing. So the thought process was, make a factory that can do small batch at scale, so we can test a lot of products and market on Amazon, scale the winners, drop the losers, and then scale those to retail. And it was working really well. And as we were starting,
it's still it's a brilliant approach.
And the products were loved, and it was genuinely a great idea, great company, great products, and a great strategy. We were doing everything right, honestly, as I reflect. And then I made the decision to scale the factory and put some new equipment in, which we put on lines of credit that we could cover with our revenue. And in September, I looked at Ian and I'm like, dude, I think we made it. Ian was my COO, right? He's the one that ran EOS for us. I'm like, dude, I think we made it. And then not even 30 days later, Amazon had a glitch in their system and tanked our sales by 50%. It was an Amazon technical error. It's nothing we did. We were following terms of service. And it took me 6 months to figure out what was wrong and another 6 months to solve it. And by that time, we were so far behind on rent and payment. Like you can't survive if you have rent and equipment and inventory and a team. You can't survive 12 months with 50% revenue.
So just to give us a sense and just give us numbers. I don't know if you don't have to give us exactly, but I think, what were you doing monthly in revenue at that point?
$400K.
Yeah, so $400K monthly in revenue. You made a very reasonable decision to invest to grow for growth. And then what were you doing after the Amazon problem?
It was $200K the month after. We went to $200K, and then and then went into November, December, which wasn't our prime time for our business. January was, and really tanked in November and December, which was expected. And then January didn't swing back around because we basically, Amazon accidentally shadow banned the entire company. So we weren't getting any reach on Amazon. And yeah, so sales continued to decline. And then you get into this death spiral of you can't buy inventory and you can't scale in growth. So you're just in this death spiral of not being able to pay your bills and not being able to grow revenue and trying to solve the problems. Like it was just this nightmarish year. And then you make the decision to close, and it's, we filed for bankruptcy in 2023 in December. The bankruptcy is still not finalized. I'm still pulling money out of pocket to try to close the business personally.
I think that I want to get to that because that's a really important point. And business owners will tell you that there's LLCs, you protect your liability, but it's not always the case. I think it's an important part of the story. I think that Stephanie, I want to give you a chance to react to, but I think that we can clearly agree, Stephanie, that you never say, I think we made it. That's just, you can't say that.
Yeah. As soon as you
agree.
Totally agree.
You don't say that. You're just like, well, it's probably, you got to constantly tell the universe, well, we're probably absolutely fucked and tomorrow's going to be our last day.
Yeah.
That's just,
There's a little balance there too, because you need those pumps to keep going, right? To be like, hey, maybe we reached a new phase or what have you. But it's a good sort of commentary.
You have to trick the universe with your language. You have to be like, I think we've taken a step.
I hedged it. I said, I think we're making it. I think we've hit that next level where we're no longer a startup. It's time to buy hats. And and
t-shirts for startups, hats, for good businesses.
So
I want to ask you, Stephanie, and I know this is like, give us a little bit. So you said that the company was kind of going and it was just not growing, which again, the stuff that your story is so wildly dramatic, Anthony, and it is also for anybody that has followed the show, which all four of you that have followed the show to this point, how much absolute shit that we talk about Amazon. Now you know why. Now you know why we kind of all hate Amazon to a high degree. Also, I just put in an Amazon order this morning for stuff. I wish I didn't, Anthony. I'm sorry. But Stephanie, first of all, probably first time you heard that story from Anthony, but also for you, talk about that emotional toll as you're going through that. Because Anthony, that year was fucking terrible for you. And I mean, Stephanie, I think you've been going through this now for a little bit. Talk about the emotional, physical, all in the business toll of trying to make this decision.
Yeah, I think it's mostly frustration, right? It's frustration not because we're not making money and we can't make it work. It's frustration that we could, right? And that I'm actually fighting against my own partners. Not fighting, we've been great friends for 20 years and there's nothing contentious, but because they're sort of done, I'm having to pull everything out of them and they're great and everything, but it's like, I would say it's mostly frustration. And then you talk to the clients and they're like almost in tears because you've built them something that just really works and is great and has been serving them for many, many years. And they don't want to change that because it's their absolute core functionality in their business. And then, but also just the grace that they had, like they were also gracious and also supportive of us. And I think that what we did really well was develop really great relationships with all of our clients that we were working with, because these are big enterprise sales, right? These are, the implementation is quick, but you're in pretty strong support for about a year. So yeah, like on the one hand, I'm really grateful for the experience. And I always look at these things as like, what can I take out of this and what did I learn? But I would also say that it's frustrating because there's still life left, right?
Yeah, it's. I think that's the problem with zombie companies. And zombie companies can become zombie companies for a lot of different reasons, right? Including the fact that not all the partners are still aligned. And so now you've got, some belief in, you're like, it's not dead. It's not
It's
alive.
not dead. It
Really.
isn't, and that's a frustrating part is that it's not like we couldn't sell it, and it's not like, but I couldn't scale up any further. I couldn't sell more customers in because we couldn't support them unless we had expanded and grown, and that my partners didn't want to do that. So
Anthony, I want to ask you a question because for you, and I think that this was kind of terrible, you were going through this alone. You didn't have a co-founder in this business. You've had co-founders in a lot of your other businesses, Rob and other people, but in this one, this was just you, right?
Yeah, and so one of the takeaways I should probably offer here is I didn't have to go through it alone. So I had investors that I kept in the dark, and I had my wife that I kept in the dark as this was all happening. Um, not my finest moment. In my defense, my delusion was, I got this. I'll figure this out. There's no reason to burden everybody with not everybody signed up for the weight of solving this problem. I did. My wife certainly didn't. So I'm going to do it by myself.
Yeah, I'm gonna put on my shoulders and nobody. I don't want. It really is.
Yeah,
I do the same thing with Real Good, right?
It was macho BS pride. Like that's really what it was. I didn't want to deal with the shame of what was happening, even though I mean it wasn't my fault, but it was my fault because I was the one responsible, right? So if it succeeded, I would have taken the credit. So it was my fault. But yeah, I went through it alone without needing to. There's always support. You always have somebody you can talk to. I could have sat you down and said, dude,
yeah,
I don't know what the hell.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't call anybody. I struggled alone, which was a definite mistake.
I want to just call this out because there's a couple of components of this. And one, we've talked about this before, which is we as founders, we tend to always see a shining light, even at the end, like we can do this. We love to tell the stories. It is our favorite stories of, I had no cash in the bank. Payroll was on Friday. I somehow pulled out this Hail Mary. And it's like our favorite, like near death's door. And I turned around, now I'm a billionaire story. It's like, it's part of almost every startup story. So A, don't suffer alone. But B, there is an element here of shame.
Mm-hmm.
I certainly felt it. I felt it when Real Good was failing, the post exit, all that sort of stuff. I didn't know what to do. And I just didn't want to talk about it. I didn't want to tell my wife. I didn't want to admit that there was failure. I didn't want to, talk to friends about it. And I sat and stewed and became genuinely mentally unhealthy because of it. I think it's probably maybe the first and most important lesson here, Stephanie. I'll give you a chance, which is, that's stupid, and you're a girl and would never do that because we're stupid men. But I'm sure that you've witnessed other stupid men doing that as well.
Well, no, I mean, I have a jumbled up, emotional roller coaster around it all. I feel ashamed for what I perceive that I didn't do, and I feel ashamed for what I did do, and I'm also proud of what we created, but I'm also, I coach people going through the same kinds of stuff, and so I have this perspective on it where I'm like, I believe really strongly that, if we stop trying to control everything, then we realize that things flow for a reason in certain times, and this is our time to do something different than what we've been doing. So, I can have that perspective on it. I can be really appreciative of what I've learned from it. It was kind of our starter with my second business, and I learned a lot from my first. So, and I do feel some shame and some guilt and some sadness and some also maybe relief, right? Because things weren't necessarily flourishing, right? But Anthony, like, do you ever have
Relief
thoughts?
as in when you stop hitting your head with the brick, relief?
Like, that
It feels
doesn't
so good
hurt.
when I stop, kind of
Yeah,
relief.
right.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's not pain. I mean, it's a very easy business, right? I don't have to do that much, and we get paid,
Okay.
good money. But it's. I feel like I'm fighting my own partners at this
Yeah.
point in time, and that's frustrating for me to always have to go back to the customer and sort of position it as like, oh, there's some reason why we can't do this, but really, it's my partner saying no, really. So and they're great people and I understand why, but like, that's the frustration for me right now. But Anthony, I have a question for you. Did you ever, just torture yourself by saying, I could have saved this by doing whatever?
Yeah, the
Like, do you have,
revisionist history question.
yeah, yeah.
Um, so hindsight is so easy, right? Because there's things that I should like. I could have saved this by not jumping into the new equipment. Like, but that was the right decision at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do I struggle with that? Yeah, what I struggle with more is dealing with the fact that I let people down.
Yeah, people gave you money, you invested.
I let my investors, my employees, my wife, my daughters used to come in and like to work in the factory. Ella would pitch MC Squares to herself in YouTube in on her iPad to make videos. Like the fact that that's no longer an option for her, and there's some pain there for her. Hard to wrap my head around that. Hard to wrap my head around the fact that I let so many people down.
I just want to step in because I got to put my coaching hat on here for a second, right? There's a whole lot of bullshit in that, right? And the bullshit there is stories wrapped up in things that you had control of, you didn't have control of, and letting people down, et cetera, right? Like it's just, there's a lot of stuff. And this is really the question that I want to get to next anyway. So I'll lead into it, which is I can sit objectively with your company, Anthony, and look at every decision you made and go, oh, a absolute unfortunate series of events happened that led you to bankruptcy. Anthony had zero control over that. Zero. He made the right decision along the way, etc. You can look at my business and do the exact same thing. Look at Real Good Technologies and you see all those decisions I made along the way to get to the point of where it went terribly bad. You could be like, dude, it's risk. It's the environment. We take huge risks. Failure is part of our life. It has nothing to do with you as a human being, Chris. It has nothing to do with your value as a founder or a CEO or any of those other things. But yet I took that. And you're just telling me you took the same thing. You took that sense of ownership, like, oh my gosh, I let people down. I hurt people, etc. No. The business let people down. And the business.
No, I'm going to push back on you on this, Chris. It's like, give yourself a break. And it's like, no, I don't want to be the guy that goes, you know what? It's not it wasn't my fault. Like, I don't want to, that's not who I am. It's like, no, I'm going to take ownership. I'm going to take ownership for for the promises I made and the people I let down. Absolutely.
100%.
I agree with you. Now, I do want to say, I think it's really important for us to mention on that note, there is a limit to how much shame and regret you can feel because people get over it and there is life on the other side.
Yeah.
Right. So I can tell you for sure, I thought my life was over. I thought I was done. And that was not the case. Now, could I have lost my house? Yeah. Could I have lost my marriage? Yeah, I could have. And if those two things had happened, there's still life on the other side. There's still there's still something to look forward to. There's still your experience that you went through that that makes you valuable to other people in other ways. So just know that as if you're a founder going through this, I'm sorry, and there is light on the other side of the tunnel. Just look at I just read a post on this yesterday. Cursor and Notion, all they do is hire former founders that have been through something like this. So there's people that want you and want your experience and want your energy and drive. So get through it, knuckle down, bear down, and do it. But knowing that there's happiness and joy still in your future.
This is a really important conversation. Having gone through the .com boom and bust, we were losing people to suicide. Like they were taking their own lives because of the shame, the guilt, the fear, how much was lost. And let's be honest, that it was a bit of a crazy time and people were investing a lot of money into ridiculous things and big sums of money. So people were losing really big. But and I lost my own partner to, he took his own life because he just couldn't,
Oh my goodness.
he couldn't see past this. So there's a really important thing here, which is it's kind of a yes. And like, I was responsible for everything that happened, and I can forgive myself for that. Right. And I can look at it and say, I did the best that I could at the time. It was still my responsibility. I still made the decisions that I made, and the outcomes were on me, but I also was doing the best that I could, and I made the best decisions at the time. And I can have both of those things. I can feel responsible, but I can also be forgiven.
I think it's a good place to pause because this is like, we're getting into the real meat here. And I've brought it before. I'm trying to pull up my notes from the previous episode. Founders are about twice as likely to suffer moderate to severe mental illness, including depression. They're much more likely to have suicidal thoughts. We don't know if it's causation or correlation. We're messed up people. But ultimately here, and this is kind of a message that I didn't have, and Anthony, I think probably you, when you're in the depths of the shit, like, go get help. Go find somebody to talk to. It took me years to get into a therapy relationship. And after I did, I was like, why the fuck did I wait so long? It's really nice to have somebody listen to you, like actually listen and be objective and not have to worry about like, your family members or friends or whatever else. And so this is a very real issue. And we say every episode, both of y'all, that you guys are the pioneers of economic prosperity. We desperately need you. We need you in this society. And if you're down and sad or whatever else, please, for the love of God, go get help. Please don't fucking quit.
Connect with me on LinkedIn. Talk to me.
Right.
Talk to any of us. Go to howtofounder.com and we're all there, all wanting to talk to you for sure.
Yeah. So I want to get to, and I know it's a really tough place to pivot away from because this is the toll. And when we sign up for being a founder, this is not what we think about. We think about success, and we think about islands, and we think about ringing the bell on the stock market. We think about all the things that can go right. But 80% of startups fail, guys. Like 80%.
80%? That number's low.
Yeah,
exactly. 72%. That's the stat.
It's the one from CB Insights is a little lower. Anyway, the whole point there is that we are flipping a coin and expecting it to come up heads when you know that 80% of the time it's coming up heads. We just do that. That's who we are as people. There's one other point I want to make, and then I want to talk about the mechanics of this, which is the late great Colin Powell said, avoid having your ego so close to your position. When your position falls, your ego goes with it. It's an impossibility with founders, right? But I want to ask you now, Anthony, and I want you to answer the same question, Stephanie, which is, having gone through these failures, how do you approach businesses now, and how do you try to keep your ego and your self-worth out of a business which you only have some control over? Even though we want to be the people, Anthony, to control every outcome, we know it's not real. We know
I don't. No, I think that's a mistake. So your ego and identity needs to be in your business. I'm sorry. I don't operate any other way. And to say, how do you operate differently? That's asking, like, you've fallen in love and somebody hurt you. How do you protect yourself from from doing that again? If you try to protect yourself from that, then you're never going to fall in love again. It's the same thing. I've been able to jump in both feet with passion on other things, and my identity is wrapped around that, and I don't think that's a bad thing.
Stephanie, I'll let you react, and then I'm going to tell Anthony's wrong.
Yeah, I don't know. So I have a lot of passion for my businesses, but I also have coached and been involved in so many others and just been in the entrepreneurial community for so long that a business failing for me doesn't ever reflect like a personal loss for me. I look at it and I say, okay, what did I do? What went wrong here? And what am I going to take into my next one now? And I've always got 4 or 5 on the go. So I think you need to have your passion. You need to have a bit of your identity in your business. I think you have to believe really strongly in it. But I'm also really sort of like analytical about the businesses, and I like to be able to, if I can explain what happened, then I feel okay about it happening. If I can't figure out what happened, it bothers me a lot more.
Okay, so Anthony, this is the reason why you're wrong. Is number one, for so many reasons, but in this particular case, is your ego, who you are, your self-worth is you're a terrific husband, you're a terrific father, you're a terrific friend. That's never gonna change.
Mediocre.
The problem is that we push that down and we put what we care about in our business. Now, it's a dichotomy. We talked about it. I can't remember if it was just me and you, or if it was actually on an episode about how I was feeling pretty lost till I got back in the seat. And when I got back in the seat, it feels really good again to be running my company.
So it's not the same, but it's a lot like, it's not the same. It's not on the same level, but it's a lot like creating a company for me. And I know a lot of founders, it's like your business is your child. And so when your business goes under, you've lost your child. It's not at the same level.
No, but I'll tell you that you do need to give yourself an opportunity to mourn.
Yes, 100%.
And
I gave myself 3.5 hours, and that was a rough 3.5 hours. That was really brutal.
To feel your feeling.
I felt my feeling for 3.5 hours.
But I mean,
that sounds like we need to put the explicit tag on this episode just for saying that. Sorry about that.
The counter is that when I sold when I sold Clever Funnel, it was a good outcome. I was ready. It was a good outcome. I still mourned. I was still sad, right? Mm-hmm. Getting out of a business is hard. It's sad. Mm-hmm. It is part of you, right?
It is like getting out of a relationship, right? Like there's all the old emails.
Totally.
And the romantic phase. But, like, I think also if your business has been around for a while, like we've been around for 14, 15 years. And so I have a little more like nostalgic feelings about it as opposed to, grief and loss.
I still have t-shirts. I still have t-shirts that I wear that say MC Squares on them.
Yeah.
My wife like, don't wear that shirt.
The first business that I started working for out of university was MC Squared.
Oh, that's funny.
Oh, that's very funny. That's don't say that because there might still be trademark issues, and Anthony, he's still going through.
No, I'm good.
All right. So this is it's a really important conversation, and I don't want to brush past it, but I also don't want this to be a 2-hour episode. So I want to talk about the mechanics of this. So you've made the decision. It's a terrible decision, whether or not it was made for you. In your case, Anthony, whether or not you had to make it. In your case, Stephanie, you have to kill the zombie. You've made this decision. I want you to first talk about doing this without without bankruptcy, Stephanie, and I know you've done the same thing, Anthony, so you can weigh in here. What are the steps that you've gone through? Now you're talking about contacting customers, you need to continue to support them, et cetera. But then what? What are the steps that you're walking through?
I think this is a little bit about your values, right? So for us, number one, most important is that our customers are okay and taken care of and that we treat them well because they've been with us for 14 years and we have those relationships. And so for us, it was first about making the decision and then figuring out what a roll down plan was going to look like from a technical perspective. But we also have to consider their operational cycles because they have like registration cycles in the year, and we have to sort of coordinate all that. So we had to put together a very detailed plan that showed when they're getting invoiced at the last time and when that launch happens and when the support finishes for that solution and then for this, because they often have multiple solutions with us, and then when the final date is going to be, and then we coordinate that so that they're perfectly aware of, they have all their questions answered. But I phoned them all first and I talked to them all first before they ever received a letter from us with all of that information in it, so that I could hear from them, what are your concerns? It was really important for me to talk to you first. And all of them were lovely, like just lovely. They were sad. But I said, look, we're going to work with you on a transition plan. We're going to figure out. One of them was like, great, I'm going to build my own product. I'm like,
why don't you just buy mine? Customers are.
But then, from here on in, we're going to have to now, it's going to be mostly about figuring out how we help them transition and figure out what they're going to do with their data. But most of my work is going to be, because other than one customer, we don't have a lot of active work with the other ones. Like once they're in place, they sort of just go and they just kind of run. This other customer, it's the biggest district in the province. And so there's lots of ongoing stuff with them. So we're trying to fulfill our contractual obligations, but also prepare them for a shutdown, which is kind of funny. Like we're doing new development work, but we're also shutting them down. So right now it's a lot about customer management. And then for me, it's about going and looking for opportunities. And I've been doing this now for a while, working with an M&A guy to try and get an assessment done of our technology and what would it take to hand this over, and we had a big roadmap and what would it take to develop on the roadmap. So we have to, a lot of work I do is on exit strategies. And so I'm really familiar with what needs to be in place for a sale. So we're trying to provide some of that to our assessment people to say, look, this is what we think is feasible. And then we're going to look for somebody. This would be a great little company for some techie to take over who could, learn the system and build it out. And then it would be so easy to sell. Right. So that's
no comments on this show or actual solicitations. This is not an SEC offering. We're enough. Just doing our disclaimers. Go ahead.
Yeah. And so that's the job now. It's a fairly simple business. Like there's not that much to it. So there's going to be some financial stuff, and, we're giving some of our customers like a break, right? So they'll get invoiced at the start of the year, and then we'll carry them on until the end of the next year, just to be good citizens of the world, right?
I think this is the main point that I wanted to get to, which is the decision to shut down the company is not the end. It's the beginning of the end, Anthony.
100%.
There is lots of work that has to happen after that decision. And even when that decision was made for you, you had a year plus now, and it's still ongoing of
January
work.
will be starting 3 years.
Right.
It's
a lot of stuff afterwards. And so I want you to talk about your experience too. But first, just the mechanics. The decision is made. You can't actually, you don't have the cash to continue operations. Okay. So you make that decision. Even after bankruptcy, when you made that decision, there's still just a ton of stuff you have to do. It's a really tough
bankruptcy is you file for, and then you go through the court system. That's what's taking so long in order to get the bankruptcy finalized. And you have, with bankruptcy, you have creditors, you have people that owe you money, and sorting all that stuff out is complicated. So there's two types of bankruptcies, just to get into the mechanics here really quick. Chapter 7 and chapter 11. And one is, a restructure, which we tried. And the other one is like, it's done. Like, we just needed to solve all the assets and sell them off. And you can convert. So you can try to restructure. If it doesn't work, then you just convert to a chapter 7. And then there's, negotiating with your landlord, your lenders, you sell off your assets and try to mitigate the damage across them and you. When do you tell your employees? Well, if you're going to be letting them go, or then tell them now. Like don't delay that decision. You tell them now. You tell anybody that is impacted by the business, like Stephanie said, immediately. What else can I answer for you, Chris, on the mechanics?
I mean, there's like another element to this, and I just want to get to it because it's really, really important. And it's painful, and I know it sucked, which is we have this belief in the business world that a limited liability company limits our personal liability. And that's not always true. Like, there are elements where you can personally be impacted on this. Do you want to talk about it?
Yeah. So there's a couple. First of all, anybody can sue you for anything. So there's my investors didn't do this, but investors could have said, Anthony, you treated this business like a personal asset, and you paid yourself all this money outside of it, and therefore we're going to sue you, even though you're under an LLC. When we were a Delaware C Corp or not, they can still try to come after you for that. So you have those things to be concerned about. So transparency is critical. Here's what happened. Here's why it happened. Here's what I tried to do to solve it. You have to tell everybody that. The other piece is I had some personal guarantees. Like, even though I had investors, I had some personal guarantees on the business. Those personal guarantees, no, they come after you for them. They want their money. And so, there's, should I have listened to the advice, never sign a personal guarantee on a business? Probably. In hindsight, was I right? I could have been, like, and I had a fairly good gut of where the business was headed, and it felt very low risk. But I wish I hadn't, obviously. So, but yeah, they can come after you that way. Trying to think of, so those are the two big ones that I can think of.
I want to put a fine point on this, Anthony, because this is a mistake that we see with early stage founders all the time. I go in and I create a bank account at Wells Fargo. They go, great, would you like a credit card associated with the bank account? You're like, yes, I would. It puts your business name on the credit card. If you put your social security number or any other credit information on there, it's your
personally guaranteed it. Yep, it's personally guaranteed. Yep.
You have to explicitly ask the question to any banker or anything, hey, am I personally guaranteeing this line of credit, this credit card, et cetera? It's a very technical point, but I screwed that up in my first business.
Let me also give another piece of advice to founders. Hopefully I'm catching you before this happens. There is a lot of predatory lending happening in this space where the interest rates are egregious and they tell you there's no personal guarantee. That's a lie. Personal guarantees are buried in the contract, so they're hard to see. So be very careful at somebody saying, I'm going to lend you $90K over 12 months. Yes, the interest rate is high, but don't worry, there's no personal guarantee. That is a lie. So be very, very, very careful. One, they usually, you're basically setting yourself up for accelerating your closure, not improving it. And secondly, they're likely going to come after you. And those predatory lenders, they come after you hard. Yeah. Like, they're not kind people.
We got to start wrapping this up. So we're going to go speed round in just a second, but there's a really important piece that we need to talk about. And Stephanie, I'm going to start with you, which is it's easy for us to say to founders, but it's something you have to internalize, which is your time and energy is the single most valuable asset you can control, right? And so when you make the decision to kill a zombie company, it's hard, it's difficult, because we kind of believe that we have infinite amount of time and energy. We have to take that concept that I'm if I'm spending time on this company that is not growing for whatever reason, I'm not actually investing my time and energy in someplace else. That is hard to wrap your head around, but it feels like you've done that. It feels like you can internalize that. Is that fair?
Yeah, it's true. It's time, it's energy, it's passion. It's like, as a founder and in this position, you have to be so good at decision analysis. Like, you have to be so good at being able to weigh all of the possibilities and all of the risks and the costs, not just financially, but to you as a human being, right? So I would say yes, that's true.
Anthony,
I would add one to that layer, Chris. Right? I'd add one more: time, energy, and reputation. Those are critical components that you want to be able to salvage out of anything that you do.
I mean, people still talk to us. I mean, even though.
No, I didn't say it has to be a good reputation, but it is something.
Reputation. No, but Anthony, I mean, this is in sort of psychological theory. This is and business theory. This is opportunity cost. We're terrible. Human beings, not just founders, are terrible at this idea of opportunity cost. Is that something you're now looking at? As it's been a good couple of episodes together, because you are in this state of possibilities, and you're figuring out what's going to be your next big project. You're in a lot of little projects. So opportunity cost is a really tough one. Can you talk about how you think about it?
I don't, honestly, Chris. I don't think I really like. I want to come up with a like a really sophisticated answer. The truth is, I do it by gut, not by logic, and I know that's a terrible way to do it, but I'm more tactile when it comes to this. I feel my way through it, so I don't have a good answer, and and even if somebody gave me the answer, I probably wouldn't follow it. Like, if I would still want to feel my way through it.
I love the fact that we're running a podcast with founders advice, and we're saying, please don't do what Anthony does.
Is this why you're taking on the male modeling gig?
Yeah. I mean, he's a hand model. Those hands have never done real work ever in his life. I mean, look at those things. They're beautiful.
Soft, lovely hands.
All right, we're going to go quickly to the speed round. I'm going to have you guys both answer. First time you shut down a business, did you wait too long to shut down that business, Stephanie, than Anthony?
Yes.
Yeah.
Would you have shut down sooner if someone had given you permission?
No.
Closing a business you loved is harder than starting it. True or false?
No.
Did shutting down feel like a personal failure or a strategic decision?
Personal failure.
Strategic decision.
I was going to say, Stephanie's got that one feeling too. She's
strategery.
Strategery. If you knew then what you know now, would you still have started that business? What a great question. Stephanie first.
Yes.
Anthony, bigger question for you, man.
I of course I would have started it. And if I knew then what I know now, I would have known the pitfalls to avoid. So hell yeah, I'd be 10 times as successful if I knew then what I know now.
Also, let's just invent time travel, and then it would be great.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, the hindsight bias wouldn't be a problem. All right, I wrote down a few notes for Founder Fundamentals, but I want to ask y'all, what did you learn from today's episode, Stephanie?
All right, the emotional toll can be significant because we tie so much of our success to ourselves and us personally, and so we have to be prepared to manage that. Don't suffer alone. There are people out there that can support you through this, and the concept of a zombie business versus a dead business, the one that's had its heart cut out and head cut off versus the one that's just not growing. Really, really big win. Know that there's life on the other side of stepping away and shutting down your business. You can be responsible for it and be forgiven. And then this separation of your ego and identity and the business, I thought was a really interesting conversation, because I'm sort of like have one foot in each side, that there's a value in having yourself in the business, but you also need to be able to keep those separate.
Good. Founder fundamentals for me: don't go alone. Try to avoid your ego. It's never going to happen. Never mind. I'm just going to leave it alone. If you need help, get it. Founders are 2 to 3 more likely to experience depression, anxiety, ADHD, and substance use challenges. 2 to 3 times more likely. Roughly 72% of entrepreneurs report being directly or indirectly affected by mental health issues. If you need help, get it. Decision to shut down business is very, very personal. Never sign a personal guarantee. Also, Anthony, never turn to your COO and say, I think I made it. What are your founder fundamentals, Anthony?
I'm not going to. So you guys covered it really well. I'm not going to add. I don't need to add to it.
He's not the best co-host in baseball for nothing, folks. All right. Deep dive recommendations. Let me pull it back up. The Hard Things About Hard Things.
You got it.
Yeah. Hard Things About Hard Things. Terrific book. Yeah. When to Jump by Mike Lewis. Terrific. Both of them terrific books. Hey, it's a tough conversation. We love talking about the good stuff, but it's really important that we talk about this stuff too. I really appreciate both of you showing up, being vulnerable, being honest about this stuff, because it is very, very important. If this podcast is about the real stuff about being a founder, this is the real stuff. And sometimes it can be terrible. Who wants to get us out of here? Anthony, you want to do it?
Sure. I'm so in the emotional state.
I know, that's what I mean. That's what I was going to say. You have to do the grateful thing, because then you're going to
well, I am grateful. I'm grateful for you two, for being that kind of like sounding board on not just on How to Founder, but just in general. Everybody here listening, thank you all so much for tuning in. Please be sure to visit us on howtofounder.com, where you can connect with us on LinkedIn and subscribe to our YouTube, Apple Podcast, and Spotify channels. Leave us a review just out of pity, if you don't mind, just telling us that we're doing a good job.
Please, just give us a little bit.
Give us a little love on YouTube and Apple and Spotify would be awesome. The three of us totally believe that our listeners are the pioneers of economic prosperity, and we're truly grateful to be there along the way with you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Steph. Thank you, Chris. Bye.